There's absolutely no point in stopping someone who wants to be an artist from being an artist. When I was very young, 4, 5, I already knew that I wanted to pursue some kind of artistic field. I wanted to be an actor, then I wanted to be a singer. I was fascinated by painters and anyone in the arts. My mother, who loved me very much and loves me very much, and all the things she did were definitely out of love, but was quite afraid that I would become one of these typical poor artists, which is what society drives home whenever somebody expresses the idea that they want to become an artist. The first thing people think about, or that they say, is, oh, you're not going to make any money. You're going to be poor. You're going to live on the street, And just the other day, I was talking to someone. I'd met them for the first time, and they said, well, what do you do for a living? I said, well, I'm a writer. They said, oh, that's nice. But what do you really do? Or what else do you do? And I was like, no, I'm a writer. Oh, yeah. She asked me 3 times, like, what else do you do? And she's not the first one who did that. I've met many people. They say, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm a writer. I'm a full-time professional writer. I actually make a living as a writer. And a lot of people, they can't accept this. They wonder, well, what do you actually do for money? I'm like, no, dude, I make money as a writer. So there's this perception that if you're going to pursue the arts, you're not going to make money. So as a young boy, and as I grew older, this burning desire to create art and to create aesthetic things didn't go away. I don't know if society had the best intentions for me. I know that my mom did. Still, they pushed this idea that you can't make it as an artist. So the conversation became, okay, well, what are you going to do for money? All right, well, I eventually became a computer programmer. It makes total sense. You want to become an artist, so you become a computer programmer. I did that for 17 years, and it was nice to make money in the beginning. Of course, when you're fresh out of school, you want to make money doing anything. I think you'd be happy making money flipping burgers. And I freelanced as a programmer for 17 years and got to the end of it and friggin' hated it. Just hated it. Couldn't stand it. Now, in 2013, so I had been programming for about 10 years. In 2013, I started writing books. I wrote fiction, and I actually started writing because I needed money, believe it or not. But still, it was an artistic field. And writing was an artistic field I never expected to fall into. But I started writing books, I started writing fiction, and through a whole convoluted story that one day I have to tell because it is really quite hilarious and amazing and is the reason I became a writer. I started writing romance. I wrote romance under the name Rachel Dunning, and got hundreds of positive reviews and hundreds of really, really bad reviews. People either loved my work or they hated it. But I fell in love with writing. I fell in love with the fact that there was a market willing to read what I wrote. And I had to angle the stories so that I gave that market what they wanted. The romance genre, the romance crowd, they want to have certain things in their books, just like the horror crowd wants to have certain things in their books. And I learned to write to the market, but in between the story, I put my message, I put my thoughts, I put my views, and I thought, wow, there's just no better life than being able to create and put something out into the world that you love. So I kept on writing. I really wanted to make it as a fiction writer, and I pushed for many years and didn't make it. I did get a lot of fans, and I made a lot more money than many self-published authors make. I made tens of thousands of dollars, but it wasn't enough to live on. And still, I became a writer. I worked very hard to learn the craft and to be able to write. And then in 2019, I sat back and was just desperate to make it as a writer because I wanted to write. I wanted to be in an artistic field, and I had lost the opportunity to learn acting or singing, God forbid. I think the world is a better place that I didn't become a singer. But I lost the opportunity to learn other artistic skills, and painting. I used to paint a lot. And I realized, look, if I'm going to get into the arts, it's going to be as a writer. So in 2019, I found a way to monetize my skill. And that was the big turning point for me, where I discovered that there was a demand for professional writers in business. So I studied the market and I found out what companies wanted, and I wrote some articles to demonstrate my skills, and I became a full-time writer. The point of the story here is that after a career of 17 years in computers, I ended up going back to the arts, and freelance writing to me is an artistic endeavor. Sure, you get companies that want articles that are very search engine optimized, and it's not very artistic, but still there's pride in my work, and I want to deliver a high quality product. And when I write, I do write with the desire to create an excellent communication for that company. And so I ended up in the arts, and I still write romance, and I write horror, and I write fantasy, and I still want to become a New York Times best-selling author, by the way. I don't know if it's going to be in romance, or if it's going to be in horror, or if it's going to be in something else, but I'm absolutely in the arts. And the fundamental lesson that I learned with that is, if somebody wants to be an artist, you got to let them be an artist. You got to help them. You got to encourage them, because that burning desire, that passion for creating art, not everybody has it, and those that do, you cannot extinguish that. You can drive them down into a hopeless state or drive them down into apathy. That's what's happening a lot right now with clickbait articles about ChatGPT and Midjourney and all these tools that some companies with vested interest in those tools are pushing hard in order to give the idea that creative work can be done so easily. And yeah, these machines and these tools and robots can create derivative works from what artists have already created, but they're not going to create original ideas. And unfortunately for an artist, the hype and the media can drive a person into a state of apathy and hopelessness about their artistic creations. And it's very important to stay hopeful and to investigate new technology and find out how you can use it. But if you're an artist, you're an artist, and you got to find a way to survive, because like what happened to me, after 20 years in a totally scientific field, I went back to the arts. So if you're an artist, keep pushing your art, find a way to monetize it, but never let it go, because it's going to stay with you. And when you're 60, 70, 80, and you look back at your life and you wonder, wow, did I create enough art? And you say, no, your time is limited. So stick with the arts.